Picture the hiss of the buffet car door sliding open, the rattle of cups on a swaying tray, the smell of bacon drifting down a corridor at 7 in the morning. For decades, eating on a British train was a ritual all its own. Curled sandwiches, scalding tea, and a full roast served at 60 miles an hour. Then, quietly, the dining cars vanished. Today we count down 25 British rail buffet meals every traveller once ate, before the trolley replaced the tablecloth for good. Let's begin with number 25. Number 25. The individual fruit pie was the small, sturdy comfort of the buffet counter, sold in its own crinkled foil case for a few pence well into the 1970s. Apple or blackcurrant, the pastry was thick enough to survive the journey and dense enough to fill a gap between stations. Travellers balanced them on fold-down tables as the carriage swayed, prizing off the lid to reveal a dark, sweet centre that had seen better days but never disappointed a hungry child. Mothers kept one in a handbag for emergencies, and fathers ate theirs in 2 bites with a paper napkin tucked into a collar. The pies were reliable precisely because they asked nothing of the buffet steward, but a warm cabinet. When pre-packed snacks flooded the trolleys, the little foil pie slipped away, a casualty of cellophane and convenience. Number 24. A cold bottle of tomato juice, sharp and faintly peppery, was the sophisticated traveller's choice before the dining car had even served its first course. Poured over ice in a stubby glass, it carried a whiff of celery salt and a shake of Worcester sauce for those who knew to ask. In the 1960s, it cost a few pennies and signaled a certain seriousness about the journey ahead. Businessmen sipped it behind folded newspapers, and children wrinkled their noses at the grown-up bitterness of it. The little glass bottles clinked in the buffet fridge, catching the light as the train rocked. It felt like the drink of long-distance travel, of the boat train to the coast, of an afternoon that mattered. When cartons and cans took over, the ceremony of that cold red bottle quietly drained away. Number 23. The chocolate bar from the buffet trolley was the treat that turned a dull journey into an occasion. A Kit Kat, a blue riband, or a bar of fruit and nut sold for pennies, snapped free of its wrapper and shared segment by segment as fields blurred past the window. Children pressed their faces to the glass and negotiated for the last finger, while parents rationed the bar across the miles to make it last. The steward would rattle down the aisle with a wicker basket, and the whole carriage would look up in hope. There was nothing rare about the chocolate itself, but eating it on a train made it taste of freedom and half-terms and seaside days. The bar survived, of course, but the basket, the steward, and the shared ceremony of it all faded into memory. Number 22. The British rail sausage roll sat warming under the counter lamp, its pastry flaking at the first bite and scattering across a paper bag. Made to a standard that varied from station to station, it was the working traveller's breakfast when there was no time to sit down. In the early 1970s, one cost around 5 new pence, and it fueled commuters and squaddies and students heading home for the holidays. The meat inside was peppery and pale, the pastry buttery enough to leave a shine on the fingers. Travellers ate them standing at the buffet counter, one hand steadying against the swaying wall. It was food built for the platform and the corridor, not the tablecloth. When frozen pastry and heat lamps at the station kiosk took over, the buffet car sausage roll lost its warm little home. Number 21. The buttered fruit scone, split and spread thick, was the afternoon indulgence of the dining car set. Served with a foil-wrapped pat of butter and on the better services, a curl of jam in a tiny pot, it turned the 4 o'clock lull into something civilized. Currants studded the crumb, and the whole thing was best eaten slowly as the train drew through the countryside toward tea time. Ladies of a certain generation regarded the scone as their due on any journey worth the fare, and stewards served them on white china with quiet ceremony. A pot of tea alongside made it a proper occasion for a few shillings. As buffet cars gave way to trolleys of pre-packed muffins, the warm split scone with its melting butter became a thing spoken of with a sigh. Number 20. Windsor soup, thick and brown and faintly sherried, was the starter that opened 1,000 dining car dinners. Ladled from a tureen into a shallow bowl, it steamed against the window as the light faded outside. Rich with beef and barley, it warmed travellers on the long evening runs to Scotland and the West Country, served with a bread roll and a foil-wrapped pat of butter. In the 1960s, it was the mark of a real dinner, not a snack, and stewards balanced the bowls with practiced hands as the carriage rocked. Children were allowed a bowl to keep them quiet, spooning it carefully to avoid spills on the white cloth. It was humble food, dressed for the occasion, and when the full dining service retreated, Windsor soup went with it, remembered now only by those who once dined at speed. Number 19. The Scotch egg was the buffet car's most honest offering, sitting whole and heavy in its glass case, a hard-boiled egg wrapped in sausage meat and rolled in golden crumb. Cut in half, it revealed a pale yolk ringed by seasoned meat, filling enough to serve as a meal on its own. Travellers bought one with a bread roll and made a picnic of it on the fold-down table. In the 1970s, it cost a few pence and satisfied the hungriest passenger between meal services. Ramblers heading for the hills swore by it, and businessmen ate it, standing at the counter with a paper napkin. Dense, portable, and unpretentious, it was the perfect food for a moving train. As buffet counters shrank to trolleys of crisps and cling-filmed triangles, the proper Scotch egg quietly rolled out of sight. Number 18. The grilled kipper was the breakfast that announced you were on a serious journey. Served in the dining car on the early sleepers and long-distance runs, it arrived on white china with a wedge of lemon and a slice of buttered bread. The smoky, oily flesh peeled from the bones as the train rattled north through the dawn, and the smell of it drifted down the corridor to wake the whole carriage. In the 1950s and the 60s, a proper railway breakfast of kippers, tea, and toast felt like luxury for the price of a few shillings. Travellers lingered over it, watching the countryside slide past, in no hurry as the miles rolled by. When the sleeper breakfasts were trimmed and the dining cars withdrawn, the grilled kipper at dawn became one of the great lost pleasures of British travel. Number 17. Gammon and pineapple was the dining car's idea of a treat, a thick pink slice of ham crowned with a glistening ring of tinned pineapple. It arrived with chips or a scoop of mashed potato and a spoonful of peas, all balanced somehow on the swaying table. In the 1970s, it was the height of railway dining glamour, the sort of plate that made a journey feel like an event. Children eyed the sweet pineapple first, prizing it off with a fork, while adults tackled the salty gammon with quiet satisfaction. The combination of sweet and savory was the fashion of the age, and the dining car served it with a flourish. As full meal service dwindled into microwaved trays, gammon and pineapple slipped from the menu, remembered as the taste of railway dinners at their most confident. Number 16. The prawn cocktail was the starter that told everyone at the table you were traveling in style. A glass dish of shredded lettuce, cold prawns, and a pink dollop of Marie Rose sauce, dusted with paprika and served with a triangle of brown bread and butter. Through the 1970s, it was the fashionable opening to any dining car dinner, cold and creamy and faintly retro even then. Travelers spooned it up as the train pulled out of the station. The ice barely melted, the prawns firm and sweet. It felt like a night out taken at 70 miles an hour, a small extravagance to mark the start of the journey. When dining cars gave way to buffet trolleys, the little glass dish and its pink sauce vanished, surviving now only in the memory of those who dined between destinations. Number 15. Beans on toast served hot in the buffet car was the honest comfort food of the budget traveler. A ladle of orange beans poured over 2 slices of toast, steaming on a plain plate. It cost pennies and warmed travelers on cold evening runs. Students heading back to term and families off to the coast ate it gratefully, the buttered toast soaking up the sweet tomato sauce. There was nothing fancy about it, and that was the point. It filled a hungry stomach without emptying a thin purse. Children loved the simplicity of it, and stewards served it without ceremony from a hot counter. It was the meal for anyone who could not stretch to the dining car but still wanted something warm. When hot food left the trolleys, beans on toast slid off the railway menu for good. Number 14. The toasted tea cake, buttered and warm, was the small luxury that made a cold journey bearable. Split and toasted under the buffet grill, it arrived glistening, the currants soft, and the butter pooling into every crevice. Travelers cupped their hands around it as the rain streaked the windows, tearing off pieces to go with a pot of tea. In the 1960s, it cost a few pence and turned an ordinary afternoon into something worth savoring. The smell of toasting bread drifted through the carriage, and the whole buffet queue would order one on sight. It was homely food, the sort a nan might make, served here at speed to strangers watching the country roll by. As grills gave way to sealed packets and heat lamps, the warm buttered tea cake became one of the quiet casualties of the modern trolley. Number 13. The ham salad plate was the dining car's answer to a warm afternoon, a cold spread of sliced ham, a wedge of tomato, a curl of lettuce, and a spoonful of salad cream. Served with bread and butter, it was light enough for summer travel, yet substantial enough to count as a proper lunch. In the 1960s, it appeared on the dining car menu as the sensible choice, the meal for those who did not want soup and stew on a hot day. Travelers ate it slowly, watching the fields shimmer past, the salad cream tangy and cool. It was food of a particular restraint, neither grand nor mean, served on white china with a certain pride. When full table service disappeared, the cold ham salad plate went with it, one more small ceremony lost to the age of convenience. Number 12. Cheese and biscuits closed the dining car dinner with a flourish of quiet dignity. A small selection of cheddar, and perhaps a wedge of Stilton, served with cream crackers, a pat of butter, and a stick of celery in a glass. In the 1970s, it was the civilized way to end a meal on the move, lingered over with the last of the wine as the lights of towns slid past the window. Travelers cracked the biscuits, spread the butter, and let the journey wind down toward its destination. It was the sort of course that made railway dining feel like a proper restaurant, unhurried and complete. Stewards cleared the plates with practiced balance as the train swayed. When the dining cars were withdrawn, the cheeseboard vanished too, and with it went the last unhurried course of the British railway dinner. Number 11. The Cornish pasty was the buffet car's most travelled meal, a crimped half-moon of pastry filled with beef, potato, and swede, warmed under the counter lamp and sold in a paper bag. Portable by design, it was made for eating in the hand, and generations of travellers did exactly that as the West Country rolled past the window. In the 1970s, it cost a few pence and filled a hungry passenger for hours. The pastry was thick, the filling peppery, and the whole thing survived the swaying carriage without falling apart. Miners had carried them down the pit for a century, and the railways simply borrowed the idea for the corridor and the platform. Travellers heading to Penzance ate them with a kind of ceremony. As fresh baking left the buffet, the warm railway pasty faded into memory. Number 10. The fruitcake slice, dark and dense with sultanas, was the keeping cake of the dining car, cut thick and served with tea through the long afternoon runs. A slab of Dundee or a plain fruit loaf, it sat under a glass dome on the buffet counter, sturdy enough to last the journey and rich enough to satisfy a sweet tooth. In the 1960s, a slice cost pennies and paired perfectly with a scalding pot of tea. Travelers savored it as the light faded, the moist crumb studded with fruit and peel. It was the taste of home baking served to strangers at speed, the sort of cake that never went stale on the counter. Older passengers regarded it as their due on any long journey. When trolleys replaced counters, the fruitcake under its glass dome quietly disappeared. Number 9. British Rail Curry, a mild chicken curry heaped over a mound of white rice, was the dining car's bold nod to a changing nation. Introduced as tastes broadened, it arrived steaming on a plate with a scattering of sultanas and a curl of poppadom on the better services. Through the 1970s, it became a surprising favorite, warming and gently spiced, filling enough for the hungriest traveler. Businessmen and students alike ordered it on the evening runs, spooning up the sauce as the train carried them home through the dark. It was neither authentic nor ambitious, but it was hot and generous and cost only a few pounds. For many, it was the first curry they ever tasted, eaten at 70 miles an hour. As the dining cars closed, this humble railway curry became one of the fondly remembered oddities of the age. Number 8. The British Rail pork pie was the buffet counter's most enduring stalwart. A small round pie with a hand-raised crust, a rim of savoury jelly, and a dense pink centre. Sold whole in a paper bag for a few pence, it was the food of the seasoned traveller who knew a pie would outlast any sandwich. Cut in half, it revealed the jelly gleaming against the meat, best eaten with a smear of mustard from a little sachet. In the 1970s, it fueled commuters and day trippers and football crowds packed into the corridors. The pastry was sturdy, the filling peppery, and the whole thing survived any journey without complaint. Travelers ate them standing at the counter with a cup of tea. As fresh food gave way to sealed snacks, the proper railway pork pie slowly left the buffet. Number 7. The egg and cress sandwich, soft and fragrant, was the gentle favorite of the buffet counter. Mashed egg mixed with salad cream and a scatter of peppery cress between 2 slices of buttered white bread. Wrapped in a triangle of greaseproof and sold for pennies, it was the sandwich for travelers who found the ham and cheese too plain. Its faintly sulphurous smell drifted through the carriage the moment the packet was opened, unmistakable and comforting. Children ate them on the way to seaside holidays, and grandmothers packed a spare for the journey home. In the 1960s, it was the reliable choice, fresh enough when the buffet made its own. As pre-packed sandwiches took over from the counter kitchen, the soft handmade egg and cress lost the freshness that once made it worth the buying. Number 6. The dining car roast beef lunch was the crown of British railway dining. A plate of thin sliced beef with roast potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, and a boat of thick gravy, served on white china as the countryside rolled past. On the Sunday services and the great express runs, travellers sat at linen-draped tables and ate a proper roast at speed, the steward carving from a trolley in the aisle. In the 1960s, it was the height of civilized travel, a full meal for the price of a few shillings and a tip. The gravy pooled, the Yorkshire pudding wobbled with the motion of the train, and the whole carriage smelled of Sunday dinner. It felt like a restaurant on wheels, dignified and unhurried. When the dining cars were withdrawn, the roast beef lunch became the most mourned loss of them all. Number 5. The dinner bread roll with its foil-wrapped pat of butter was the small ritual that opened every dining car meal. Crusty and warm, served from a wicker basket the steward carried down the swaying aisle, it was the first thing to arrive at the linen-clad table. Travellers tore it open and spread the cold butter thick, watching it melt slightly against the warm crumb as they waited for the soup. In the 1960s, it cost nothing extra, a courtesy that made railway dining feel like a proper occasion. The pat of butter, stamped with the railway's crest, was a small detail that spoke of care and standards. Children collected the foil wrappers and pressed them flat. When the full dining service ended, even this modest ceremony vanished, and the warm roll from the basket became a memory of gentler travel. Number 4. The miniature bottle of wine, or a gin and tonic poured over ice, was the small extravagance that turned a journey into an event. Served in the dining car and later from the buffet, the little bottle of red or white cost a few shillings and made the evening run feel like a celebration. Travelers unscrewed the cap, poured carefully against the swaying carriage, and raised a glass to the miles ahead. A gin and tonic, clinking with ice, was the businessman's reward at the end of a long day, sipped as the lights of towns slid past. It was drink taken slowly, with the countryside for company and no reason to hurry. For decades it was part of the romance of the railways. As buffet service was pared back, the little bottle and the proper G&T slipped quietly away. Number 3. The buffet car bacon roll was the breakfast that defined the early train, a soft white roll split and filled with 2 rashers of grilled bacon, best eaten hot with a smear of brown sauce from a sachet. The smell of it drifted down the corridor at 7 in the morning, waking the whole carriage and drawing a queue to the buffet counter before the train had cleared the suburbs. In the 1970s, it cost a few pence and set a traveller up for the day. The bacon was salty and just crisp at the edges, the roll soft enough to soak up the fat. Commuters and holidaymakers alike swore by it as the only proper way to start a journey. As fresh grilling left the trolleys, the hot bacon roll became one of the most missed of all railway breakfasts. Number 2. The scalding cup of railway tea was the constant companion of every British journey, stewed strong in an urn and poured into a thick white cup that rattled on its saucer with the motion of the train. Milky, hot, and faintly metallic, it cost a few pence and was ordered by nearly every traveller who ever boarded. The steward would pour it against the sway of the carriage, sliding it across the counter with a practiced hand. Travellers cupped it for warmth on cold platforms and long night runs, sipping carefully as the tea slopped toward the rim. It was never elegant and never meant to be, but it was reliable in a way that defined the railways themselves. When machines and paper cups replaced the urn and the china, the proper cup of railway tea lost the character that made it beloved. Number 1. And in first place, the curled British rail sandwich crowned the buffet counter as the most famous railway meal of them all, a triangle of white bread with a filling of ham, cheese, or egg, curling gently at the edges under the glass of the buffet cabinet. For generations it was the butt of every traveller's joke, the sandwich that had seen better hours. And yet it was bought by the millions, eaten with a resigned affection that bordered on national pride. In the 1970s it cost a few pence, and its slightly dry corners and thin filling became a shorthand for British travel itself. Travellers grumbled about it and ate it anyway, because it was there, and because it was part of the ritual. It survived stewed tea, delayed trains, and every reorganization the railways could throw at it. When the buffet cabinets closed and the pre-packed triangle took its place, the curling railway sandwich became a legend, mocked, missed, and impossible to replace. Across all 25 entries, from the little foil fruit pie to the legendary curling sandwich at the very top, these lost railway meals tell the story of a Britain that ate on the move with a strange, unhurried dignity. Some, like the roast beef lunch and the grilled kipper at dawn, were feasts served at speed. Others, like the pork pie and the stewed cup of tea, were humble stalwarts that asked nothing but a few pennies. What tied them together was the buffet counter and the dining car, the tablecloth, the white china, the steward balancing bowls against the sway of the carriage. When convenience won and the trolleys took over, all of it slipped quietly away. The next time your train rolls out of the station, spare a thought for the meals that vanished with the dining cars, and tell me in the comments which one you'd bring back.